Welcome to Frost and Sullivan's Growth Podcast. In each episode, we are taking a deeper look at transformative shifts shaping global ecosystems, from industry megatrends and technology innovation to evolving customer expectations. Today, we are exploring the top 10 strategic imperatives redefining global shared mobility, unpacking where the next wave of growth is unfolding and what it means for future-ready businesses. Shared mobility is sitting at the intersection of autonomous technology, fleet electrification, AI driven operations, and a generational shift in how people think about getting around. We will be covering what is driving that shift, where the biggest competitive advantages are forming, and what the most growth ready operators are doing differently right now. So, stay tuned. Let's start with the big picture. Cities are getting denser, fuel costs are climbing, and younger customers are actively choosing access over ownership in numbers that are reshaping urban transport economics. Ride hailing, car sharing, bike sharing, robotaxis, and demand responsive transit are no longer operating as separate categories. They are converging into integrated ecosystems, and the organizations building those ecosystems today are locking in the recurring revenue advantages that will compound through the next decade. Shared mobility is becoming a platform and data business, and increasingly, an infrastructure business. That is a fundamentally different commercial model from where the industry started, and it demands a fundamentally different strategic posture. The question for any operator, OEM, or technology provider in this space right now is simple. Are you building for the next growth phase, or are you optimizing a model that the industry is already moving past? One of the most consequential shifts happening right now is the progression of robotaxis from controlled pilots into fare-paying public deployments. Economies of scale are reducing production costs faster than most anticipated, and ride-hailing operators are starting to replace conventional vehicles with autonomous alternatives. Automotive manufacturers that spent years observing from the sidelines are now entering active partnerships with autonomous technology leaders to license platforms. The window for first-mover positioning in robotaxi infrastructure and partnerships is real, and it is closing. Organizations treating autonomous integration as a near-term commercial priority are already securing the ecosystem relationships that later entrants will struggle to replicate. At the same time, AI-powered route optimization, dynamic pricing, and demand forecasting are compounding the advantage for operators already running intelligent fleet management systems. The competitive edge is building with every additional kilometer of platform data processed. Organizations converting that data into operational intelligence are pulling measurably ahead on asset utilization and profitability. Is your organization investing in AI fleet capabilities today, or waiting for the technology to mature before committing? Fleet electrification is accelerating, and the drivers are stacking up. Regulatory pressure from low-emission zone mandates, declining battery costs, lower total cost of ownership, and OEM partnership opportunities are all compressing conversion timelines simultaneously. The operators treating electrification as a revenue and cost strategy, not just a compliance exercise, are the ones moving fastest. Alongside electrification, the industry is consolidating at pace. M&A activity is picking up as larger, more diversified operators absorb niche players, building the scale, technology depth, and procurement leverage that will become decisive advantages in the next competitive cycle. Organizations actively positioning through acquisitions and strategic alliances now are accumulating the operational density that standalone operators will find difficult to match. And then there is the supply chain dimension. Geopolitical instability and component shortages are testing operators across the board. Those who have built agile, multi-region procurement frameworks are absorbing disruption without service impact. Those dependent on single-source supply chains are absorbing cost shocks directly into their margins. Which best practices is your organization implementing to build supply chain resilience and competitive scale before the consolidation window narrows further? Two imperatives are defining who captures the highest value positions in shared mobility over the long term: municipal partnerships and data monetization. Winning public tenders and securing preferred status in mobility as a service frameworks are separating deeply embedded city mobility partners from operators competing purely on pricing. Municipalities are looking for providers that demonstrate measurable urban mobility outcomes, and organizations with that track record are accessing long-term, high-value contracts that competitors without city relationships simply cannot reach. On the data side, every shared ride, route deviation, and behavioral signal is generating intelligence that insurers, city planners, fleet technology providers, and energy companies are actively seeking to access. Operators building transparent, consent-driven data governance frameworks are opening partnership-led revenue models that compound well beyond per-trip fee structures. The shift from transaction-based income to data-driven recurring revenue is defining which shared mobility businesses are building lasting advantages and which ones are stuck competing on price alone. Is your organization building the data infrastructure and governance frameworks needed to turn mobility data into high-value partnership-led revenue? The organizations leading the global shared mobility industry right now are doing three things consistently well. First, they are treating integration as a core design principle, building unified multimodal platforms that connect ride-hailing, micromobility, and public transit into seamless user experiences, and locking in preferred positioning within municipal mass ecosystems in the process. Second, they are investing in AI and data capabilities as strategic assets, not operational upgrades, using fleet intelligence and behavioral data to drive both margin improvement and new revenue streams simultaneously. Third, they are building for scale through consolidation and OEM partnership strategies, compressing vehicle customization timelines, gaining preferential access to next-generation electric and autonomous platforms, and establishing the operational density that becomes a structural competitive advantage. If this episode is sparking ideas or questions for your teams, now is the time to bring those conversations forward with your partners, your leadership, and the right growth frameworks behind them. Thanks for joining us on Frost & Sullivan's Growth Podcast. For access to our research, competitive benchmarking, and best practice frameworks, head over to frost.com or email us at hello@frost.com. We'll be back soon with more to help you stay clear-headed and growth-ready.